Greetings, fellow swordsmiths. Radamon here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series covering Bladesong. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the intro of this game, please use YouTube chapters. Bladesong is a blacksmithing game where you forge unique and elaborate swords. The world around you is dying, and you've made your way to the last safe haven protected by magic, Eren Keep. Use your craft to survive and use your finesse and diplomacy to uncover the secrets of the world. This is a story-rich game, and I'll be playing methodically. I also have a channel point redemption called Sword, which links and is referencing the channel point, or rather a command called Sword, which references the channel point redemption of Design a Sword. And once I get into this game, you'll be able to request a custom designed sword made by me, and if you'd like, I'd even export it to STL so that you can print it out in a 3D printer for yourself if you'd like. With that in mind, at the moment, the Design the Sword is paused, and the longer I play, the more complex the swords I can make. So initially, straight blades is basically about it, but as you'll see, as I progress, the options will balloon out to many. So let's get going. In cloying darkness you writhe. You cling to life by the tips of your fingers. Something takes shape in the emptiness. Contours of flesh tracing along familiar lines. A withered old woman's face floating before your own. When she speaks, she has the rasping voice of a raven. Who are you? A swordsmith? A savior? A saint? A dying soul. So this is one of the roleplay mechanics at the beginning of the game, where you can be addressed as either male, female, or sort of neutral. And I'll do gender neutral, why not? Dying? Wrong. It is not yet your time. The sundering claimed untold lives, yet you endured when so many around you perished. What did you do to survive? There are 4 types of stats in the game. There's toughness, diplomacy, knowledge, or finesse, and these affect your success chance in dialogue options. So, for instance, if you get assaulted by a group of bandits, you might be able to use your toughness to fight back, your diplomacy to negotiate, your knowledge to avoid them somehow, your finesse to evade them, so on and so forth. And these are the initial choices, so I'm going to have you guys choose for me what to choose. From left to right, 1 through 4. And here is the, oops, not there. Here is not there either, the poll for that. So, mercenary. I joined as a band of sellswords, forging the blades used in our butchery. When the last of them died in battle, it was time for me to start over. Leader. We built a settlement at Osterhall. I was their smith and their spokesperson. For many years we held out. One by one, I buried them all. Wanderer. I plied my trade from settlement to settlement, gathering hard-won knowledge about a world that is falling apart. Or slave. I was too useful to kill. I was traded back and forth as a prize between warlords who kept me chained to a forge. When I saw my chance, I escaped. And we're going to go with Wanderer here. A cold hand touches your breath. Oh, sorry. You kept something through all your hardships. A keepsake from a better time. What is it? Here's another choice. An artisan's toolkit. This is for a creative playstyle. Grants a bundle of leathers and pigments for more creative freedom early on. A family heirloom. for a story-focused playstyle. Grants a unique family heirloom passed down through prior generations of your lineage. A bottle of rare old world spirit. For an optimization-focused playstyle, grants a bottle of precious liquor to boost your progress. Alright, we're going to go with the story-focused heirloom. The fire is burning itself out, leaving you a damp shadow of your old self. You claw blindly in the darkness until more water is tipped down your throat. What do you believe in? Now the voices have abandoned this world. Okay, here's even more choices. There is ambition. Humanity can rise above the voices if we learn their secrets. Continuity. I believe in small things. Bread rising, seasons turning, children growing. Freedom. We're better off without voices. Humans can adapt to anything. Compassion. Every small kindness is an act of defiance in a world without pity or nothing. Nothing matters anymore. There's peace in accepting that. For reference, because this sort of throws you into the deep end of the story, the world used to have sort of like deities, guardian deities, if you will, like the voices, as a general concept, and they are gone. They've abandoned the world, and the world has descended into a near-apocalyptic chaos. And it looks like compassion will win out today. You have it backwards. Love is what dooms your kind in the end. The world will tear out that soft heart of yours and devour it. I'll leave you with one final question, and I don't expect an answer. What will fill the silence the voices left behind? As the old woman's face retreats into inky blackness, sparks flicker into life behind her, one by one. A field of stars burning with a sickly pale light. Like seeds taking root, they twist and expand, their tendrils branching and burrowing through the darkness until they've strangled it with light. Now wake, Smith. You still have a part to play in humanity's final act. As your eyes flutter as you regain consciousness. You're faintly surprised to find yourself alive. Either death did not come for you, or when it did, it found you unyielding. You sit up, grasping, sweat-drenched. The fever has broken. Remember. A lifetime on the roads, selling your wares, sleeping under trees, learning the secrets of the world. Every year it got harder. Landmarks vanished, bridges collapsed, outposts fell to ruin. At last you were forced to seek a sanctuary. It was a long journey to Eren Keep, through dust and despair. Your last memories are of sliding from your dying horse, your numb legs tracking furrows in the mud as someone dragged you to shelter. But who? Outside the tent is a crude field forge, complete with an anvil. Did you crawl here in a daze? Or did your mysterious caretaker bring you here? Either way, the anvil gives you a feeling of home. Get your bearings. You're in a tent. There's no sign of your caretaker, apart from a half-empty water pail and a damp cloth on your brow. You peek out of the tent flap, squinting against the sunlight. Outside, as far as the eye can see, stretches a chaotic sprawl of tents and shelters, churned mud and shallow graves. Most of your rations are gone. Your horse was already dying when the fever took you. Its body is nowhere to be seen. It's now likely soup. You are on your own. Assess the field forge's condition. It seems to have been abandoned for some time, lacking anyone with the skill to work it. But it won't require much effort to get it running again, should you need to make a living out here. Hopefully, it won't come to that. First, you should head to the gates and try to secure entry to Eren Keep. That's why you came here after all. This short tutorial will teach you all you need to know. Please follow it closely. Welcome to the camp, Swordsmith. People will come to you with commissions. You will choose which commissions to take on. Commissions refresh daily. Select the highlighted button to choose your first commission. I turn it down just a tad. Commission for Owen. Your first customer is a gaunt man in a tattered cloak. He approaches you, noticing the anvil outside your tent. You a blacksmith? Can you make me a sword? I've got the coin for it. Just make sure it's good and long. I don't like my enemies to be in hugging distance, if you get my meaning. When you accept a commission, you prepare a billet for your sword. Preparing this billet costs action points. Action points refresh daily. Preparing this billet also costs steel. So Owen's sword will cost 1 action point and 11 steel. We'll also gain 50 experience points and 40 coin. To rotate the camera, hold the right mouse button and move the mouse. To move the camera along the blade, hold the middle mouse or Alt to move the mouse, and to zoom in or out, use the mouse wheel. Use the tutorial flag at the top to revisit any information you've already seen. Use this tutorial flag at the top to revisit any information you've already seen, and you can of course go back to previous tutorial entries. Customers have different requirements, which your sword must fulfill. The top left panel shows your progress towards the commission requirements. Hover the cursor over the blade length requirement to see helpful details. The blade length is required to be between 38 and 58%, and currently it is 10%. Let's start by shaping the blade. Click the plus button to add a change length ability. You can apply light or heavy hammer hits to alter your blade. Let's start with light hits. Click the steel billet to hammer and lengthen it. In order to make larger changes on your blade, you can build up strength with heavy hits, which actually is what I was doing by muscle memory. Click the hammer when it is at its highest position for a heavy hit. The longer you chain your heavy hits, the more the blade changes with each hit. Now the blade length requirement is met, let's flatten the blade. Click the plus button to add change thickness ability. Feel free to use light or heavy hits as you please. Hold shift for even lighter hammer hits. And I'm going to open up the cross-section display here. Let's make the blade wider using the change width ability. So this cross-section shows you the shape of the blade. So this is essentially, this cross-section is essentially what this looks like. So if I'm not allowed to right now, never mind. That's a wide blade. Why are you making me do this wide? Hammer a point on the sword. Usually customers won't accept a sword without a point. The cross-section ability makes your blade sharp. Let's add it. This ability has 2 steps. First, you need to give the blade a sharp edge. Watch the cross-section display at the top right, which I turned on, to get a better understanding of what's changing. Hammer until the blue line of the blade turns orange. The edge is now sharp, and you can further adjust the shape of the cross-section. Keep hammering until the shape becomes a diamond. Great, your blade is complete. Click the hilt mode button to start working on the hilt. In hilt mode, you have access to a library of sword parts to complete your sword. Select a guard from the library and then attach it on the sword. So these also weigh different amounts, and depending on what you add, it will also change the cost. So the more steel that we add to this, for instance, the more the cost increases. So right now we're using 11 steel, and let me hide that part of the overlay. In fact, hold on one second. So with the sellsword guard, it goes up to 14, but with the square cross, it goes up to 13. I'm going to do the square cross because the customer doesn't care, and I'm not going to spend more steel if I don't have to. Keep an eye on the resource panel to see how much you're spending. Add a grip part next. Oh, he is asking for a two-handed blade. So later you can have more complex grips, but for now I'm going to be doing 2 wooden grips because they asked for a two-hander. When holding a sword part, you can cycle through them using Q and E and control and scroll wheel. So that would be like switching between pommels. Every part of your sword influences its physics. Watch the weight and balance meter shift as you attach a pommel. So as you can see, the weight goes up and the balance goes down. Right now, the balance is very front heavy, which is not ideal. And a pommel helps to offset the weight of the blade. This is a massive blade. It's a very heavy two-hander blade. You can detach sword parts again by clicking on them. You will get your resources back, so feel free to experiment. When you are happy with your two-handed hilt, let's make some final adjustments to the blade. The ability history shows all the abilities that have been used on the blade. You can use this to revisit abilities or edit or delete them. The number next to the applied ability shows its intensity. Editing abilities has no cost. Feel free to experiment. Select the change with ability you added earlier. Press X to flip the direction of your hammering, then narrow the blade. Perfect. This commission is fulfilled, so it's time to sell this sword. We're going to name it Owen's Sword. Offer to Owen. The man takes the sword and jabs it at his shadow experimentally. A slow grin crosses his face. This should do the trick. Thank you, Smith. Here's your payment. Will I accept? Yes. This is Owen's sword. A very simple two-hander. Congratulations on finishing your first sword. Another customer awaits. Landon. Customers with repair jobs will provide you with a sword that they want edited. These commissions don't have an initial billet cost, so they're perfect for making some coin when you're low on resources. This customer wants his sword altered. The rounded point needs to be turned into a narrow point. Revisit the point ability to reforge it. You can change the range of many abilities. The range influenced on your ability is marked with a line. Drag the circular handle to the end of the line. So at the moment it has this rounded point, and we're going to make a narrow point. Nice work. I'm going to hammer it a few more times because it's not actually done. There we go. When you've fulfilled all the requirements, the commission is complete and you can sell the sword. You just received a scrap item. Go into your inventory and expect what you received. So in that last commission, one of the rewards was old tools. Salvaging turns scraps into useful resources. This costs a small amount of action points, so it's a perfect use for leftover points at the end of the day. Hover over items to see their descriptions, interact with the item to salvage it. Old tools, which are rusty implements past their prime, only good for salvage. We salvaged them and we gained 18 steel. When your action points are spent, it is time to end the day. If you end the day with any action points left, they will be lost, so try to use them whenever you can. Day 1 has ended. We made 55 coin, we spent 20 coin, and the new balance is 35. At the end of every day, you have an exploration period where you can travel around Eren Keep to discover the story. Other useful things to note. Currently our level's 1. We have a journal here keeping track of all of our quests. We have our experience bar and our stats. 0 toughness, 0 diplomacy, 3 knowledge, and 0 finesse. So, let's go to the outer gate. Passage into Eren Keep is barred by a colossal gate, taller than a ship's mast. It was built to withstand enemy armies. But since the Masked King's ascension, it mainly keeps out desperate masses seeking his protection. We're going to examine the magical barrier with our knowledge. It's only visible in the half-lit dawn of dawn, but when it pours with rain, a faint shimmer that rises from the walls and captures Eren's Keep in a vast dome. Our knowledge passed, because that's our main stat. For a city to have survived this long past the Sundering, it must have extraordinary defenses. You've heard that some visiting outposts have guardian dragons or shrouds of impenetrable fog, but none have as perfect a protection as Eren Keep. It is as though the songs never ended. Attackers, human or otherwise, are simply unable to breach the dome. Poisonous miasmas dissipate harmlessly against it. Plagues are kept at bay. Within this sanctuary, crops grow without withering, water runs clean, and people can sleep without fear. If such miracles can exist in a world without the voices, surely there's hope for the future. You are now inspired. Approach the gate. As you approach, the portcullis is raised to admit a caravan, and chaos breaks out. The crowd swells like a rising tide. Refugees push forward, begging for entry, and the guards batter them back with their shields. The merchant wagons barrel through, their drivers using horse whips to lash stragglers out of the way. Call for the attention of the guard. Huh? What do you want? He gazes down at you like a fisherman disappointed with his catch. I want to enter the keep. You a citizen? Or you got yourself a worker's permit? No, I don't. Then get out of here, applicant. Stop wasting my time. Applicant. That's the euphemism the guards use to refer to the desperate hordes camping at their gate. It has a nicer ring, you suppose, than refugee. I have useful skills. I'm a blacksmith. Every applicant who comes here begging is a doctor or a master glassmaker or a damned alchemist. You think I was born yesterday? If you're a smith, prove it. How do you expect me to do that? Not my problem. Make some swords, I suppose. Maybe then we'll give you a worker's permit. Until then, buzz off, little fly. Head back to your tent. You return to your tent where your makeshift forge awaits. You're hardly at your best working with such limited materials, but it's all you have for the time being. It won't be long before your cache of steel runs out. Since it seems you're going to be here longer than expected, you should make it a priority to find a merchant in this forsaken place. Nicely done. You've finished the tutorial. From today on, you'll have more action points to spend. You won't be able to complete every commission, so pick the ones you like the sound of. The game will open up from here. Don't be afraid to explore. Here are a few resources to get you started. 40 steel, 30 wood. I am also going to open up my own design a sword commission, but keep in mind that my abilities right now are extremely limited. For reference, this is the skill tree, and once we get to about here, I'll be able to make just about any kind of sword you want, whereas here, I can't really make sexy swords. So if you want to spend your channel points on simple swords, be my guest, just let you know. The longer you wait, the more complex the swords can get. Alright. So at the moment, I have a book which has designs for the sellsword, the 3 pommels, and 1 more, which is of course the other guard. I've got steel, I've got wood, and I've got my hammer and forge and anvil. So let's take commissions. When taking commissions, we can consider rewards. So for instance, Garrett here is offering gold, which can be used to make fancy swords, as well as a mystery reward and a book of twisted grips. It costs 5 action points and 21 steel, so it's very high in steel cost. We've got Isolde, which is offering 2 books. Stacker, 1 book. Lock-in, a lot of salvage material, horseshoes and cartwheels for wood and steel. And then this is the repair job, which you really don't want to primarily take because it's not worth as much, not nearly as much at all. So looking at this, I want to take Isolde's contract for a sharp sword of medium length, made primarily of wood. A woman stands at your anvil, her eyes scanning the horizon. She flinches as you approach her. I hear it at night, you know, circling, screeching, getting closer. What? The others say I'm mad, that we left that thing back in the waste. But they didn't see what it did to my brother, the way it looked at me as it tore him limb from limb. It didn't hunt like an animal, it watched me, enjoyed my fear. I'm sure it followed me all this way. Sounds like a good blade at your side would come in handy. I don't know what a sword can do against something like that, but I figure having a sword is better than having nothing at all. Okay. So we're going to lengthen out the blade. I'm going to keep it light for her. If she doesn't really know how to use a sword, we'll make a kind of a simple one. Let's lower the thickness a whole bunch, so it's not super heavy. We want a good balanced sword, I think. And of course, she cares about sharpness. You know, this sword needs to be able to cut. And there we go, it can cut. Now, it needs to be two-handed. So it's going to be a short blade. It's rather short right now, with a narrow point and two-handed. So let's change the point. And I'm going to make it really pointed. So that she can jab with it. Alright. So two-handed, you say. We'll do a square cross for cost. Give an oval grip. And then a tapering oval grip. And all of those grips have added 5.6 out of the 6 wood required for the sword. Which means the pommel that I'll add will be out of wood rather than... And I'll do a different kind of wood. Wood rather than steel, which satisfies the material requirements of 6. As I said, very, very, very simple sword. And this satisfies her requirement, which cost me 14 steel and 14 wood. And then Isolde's rapier. Yeah, it's more like a rapier, but it is two-handed. It's kind of weird, if you will. Now, other things we can do here is we can change the polish level. So I'm going to lower the polish level of the wood that she's using. A shiny sword attracts more beasts, let's say. So we'll lower the polish as well. She weighs the blade in her hand. The balance is perfect. When it comes, I won't hesitate, not like before. Not like when I ran and when I left them. She pauses. The pause lengthens until it becomes clear she won't speak again. It was pleasure doing business. You've earned a skill point. Open the skill tree to spend on improvements. We've also received a minor sword part book teaching a bunch of parts. And then this one as well, which teaches engravings. But the thing is, we don't know how to engrave just yet. So I'm going to have you guys choose how I spend my skill points. Which way to spend my skill points. So in this case, I'm going to have left, center, right. Those are going to be the choices throughout this stream. Left is sword part scaling, which allows you to scale up or down individual parts of a sword that aren't the blade. So this is for hilt forming. So this is the information about the part scaling. And part scaling can be really handy when you need to balance a blade better or you're trying to reduce cost. Because if you need a well-balanced blade, you might need a heavier pommel or a lighter pommel or something like that. Now the middle, advanced swordsmithing, allows you to do advanced cross-section controls for depth and width and height, for edge thickness, spine width, and how convex your blade is, so that it is less angled. And then on the right, we have asymmetrical blades. Asymmetrical blades allows you to forge asymmetrical blades that are different on either side. So for instance, a katana would be an asymmetrical blade because a katana had a cutting edge and a back edge, for instance. So katanas would be a single edge blade, therefore it's asymmetrical. Also it's curved, and curved blades is up here. All right, looks like advanced swordsmithing wins out by a hair. Okay. I have 4 action points left. And unfortunately for me, the other 3 contracts require more action points than I currently have. So we are going to do 4 rapid fire reforgings. So she wants this blade sharper. No problem. And with a regular point, rather than a, throughout the point, rather than a sharp point. And I'm not going to bother naming these repair contracts. That one's done. Let's do another one. Again, most of these repair contracts just want their blade sharper. So in this case, to explain what I'm doing, this blade is not sharp if you look at the cross-section because it's wide as hell with no actual side edge. So generally, you can just fix it by making it thinner. And then changing the cross-section so it's actually sharp. And in this case, the sharpness right now is 2.7 out of the 3 required. So in that case, I do find that making it wider tends to help as well. And we're done. And then the last part here is a narrow point. And finished. All right, we have 2 action points left. Jackas. This is kind of a Viking style blade, if I will. And as you can see, you can... Obviously, I don't have the skills to make something quite this elaborate yet with the materials and all. But as you can see, you are able to get a lot more elaborate things later on. Oh, this is the wrong cross-section. All right, here we go. So in this case, this sword has a groove in the middle, and the way I've been modifying this blade, as you can see in the cross-section, it kind of ruins the groove. So what I'm going to do in this case is change its width to increase the sharpness, but preserve the groove. The TLDR is like, I will attempt to preserve the design of the blade when I'm fixing it for contracts, so I don't like fundamentally ruin the sword that we're making. And this one's done as well. And the last repair job, just to make it a whole bunch sharper, and this thing is just like a big hunk of steel. So thickness comes down. This is already very wide, so I don't need to widen it. So we're gonna sharpen the cross section. Now in this case, this blade is, I'm gonna increase the how convex it is to make it more rounded. So here, as you can see, instead of the sort of convex, it has a rounded blade. It's still sharp, but that's something I got with the advanced swordsmithing. So I can do the inverse too, where I make it convex, or concave rather. And this is what a concave blade looks like. And you would think, because it has like a really, really, really sharp edge, it would be considered sharper. But because that edge is so delicate, the game kind of assumes that it wouldn't hold its edge very long. So when you're making blades, you have to keep that in mind. Plus, making it concave, or rather than convex, it also will change its stiffness, basically how sturdy your blade is, and also change your the balance. And then the point needs to be a narrow one. No problem. Done. And there we go. 4 repair jobs, and then 1 from scratch. We got a good amount of coin, and we are going to end the day. So we end up earning a decent amount of coin today. And we can either go back to the outer camp, or the outer gate, where we got rejected yesterday, or we can go to the camp. And in this case, I'm going to go to the camp. Thank you for tuning in to Bladesong, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow blacksmiths.